He was one of cinema's most unforgettable faces. And now, just like that, he's gone. But how does a man who survived the rubble of his own birth, starred in more than 200 films, and became a cult icon across generations, suddenly vanish from this world at 81? Hollywood is shaken, fans are confused, and the questions keep multiplying. Because Udo Kier wasn't just an actor, he was a presence. A hypnotic, icy blue stare, a voice that could flip from velvet to menace, and a life story so unbelievable, most people still don't know the truth about how it began. And once you hear it, you'll never look at him the same way again. Udo Kier's death was confirmed early Sunday morning by his partner, artist Delbert McBride, a quiet announcement that felt like a thunderclap across the film world. He was 81, and within minutes, tributes began pouring in from every corner of Hollywood and beyond. Indie filmmakers who grew up studying his work, LGBTQ+ artists who saw him as a boundary-breaking icon, and even fans from the experimental gaming community all shared the same stunned reaction, disbelief. Because Udo wasn't just another actor passing into memory. He was a symbol of an era, a face you never forgot, a performer who could bend genres, the way other people bend light. But the mystery grew when fans learned he was still working on a secret video game project. That mystery only deepened when Hideo Kojima, the visionary behind Death Stranding and Metal Gear, posted his own tribute. In a somber message, he revealed something no one expected. Udo Kier had not finished his work on Kojima's cryptic long-awaited Xbox horror project. It was the kind of revelation that sent fans into a spiral. Because Kier wasn't just a side character, he was rumored to be one of the game's most chilling, central presences. Within hours, comment sections across gaming forums were flooded with panic. Would Kojima rewrite the story? Would Udo's scenes be preserved exactly as they are? Or would the character be quietly altered in post-production? No one knows, and Kojima hasn't offered any clarity. But in the middle of the uncertainty, a quieter theory started circulating. Some fans online are suggesting Kojima may dedicate the entire project to him, a final digital monument to a man who lived his life in the shadows and spotlights of the strange. Long before Udo Kier became a legend, his life began with a scene so traumatic it feels impossible, like something torn from a wartime thriller. He was born during the final days of World War II, in a hospital already trembling under bomb blasts. Minutes after he entered the world, the unthinkable happened. The hospital wall collapsed. The nurse caring for the newborns tried to shield them, scrambling across the tables, but almost every infant in that room was lost. Udo survived only because his mother, exhausted and frightened, had begged to hold him a little longer. Her bed, tucked in the only sturdy corner, protected them both. Trapped under rubble, she used one hand to hold her newborn son, and the other to claw out a pocket of air. Hours later, rescuers found her, and in Udo's words, he never forgot the chilling image he carried his whole life. A vision of a hand sticking out of the ruins, waving for help. A man who started life in destruction somehow grew into one of the most haunting faces in cinema. And that wasn't the only time fate pushed him into the spotlight. Years later, in a twist that feels almost too perfectly scripted, Udo Kier's entire career changed because of a random airplane seat assignment. He happened to sit next to filmmaker Paul Morrissey, Andy Warhol's closest collaborator. Morrissey took one look at him, listened to his voice, studied those unreal blue eyes, and knew instantly, this wasn't just another handsome traveler. This was a face made for the screen. When Morrissey told Warhol about the mysterious German with the hypnotic stare, Warhol didn't hesitate. He cast Udo as the lead in Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula, two films that would become the backbone of Midnight. Cinema culture. Suddenly, audiences were mesmerized by the strange, seductive energy he brought to monsters everyone thought they already knew. Instead of playing Frankenstein or Dracula as classic Hollywood villains, Udo turned them into sensual, elegant, almost otherworldly beings. It was bizarre. It was magnetic. It was unforgettable. And it wasn't just because he could act. It was because Udo Kier looked like no one else. There was a softness to his features, a quiet danger in his eyes, and a sexuality that didn't fit into any simple box. Men admired him, women adored him, and everyone agreed he had a presence that made it impossible to look away. Once that door opened, Udo Kier didn't just walk through it, he sprinted into every corner of cinema, with more than 200 films to his name. He became one of the rare actors who could shift from the strangest art house experiments to big-budget blockbusters without ever losing his signature aura. One moment, he was battling Wesley Snipes in Blade. The next he was stealing scenes in Ace Ventura, then popping up in cult chaos like Barbed Wire, Iron Sky, or the brutal intensity of Brawl in Cell Block 99. And then there were the Lars von Trier films, dark, surreal, unsettling worlds, where Udo's presence blended perfectly. He could be elegant, terrifying, hilarious, or heartbreaking, often all within the same movie. Fans described him with phrases most actors only dream about: icy blue eyes, elegant danger, beautiful menace. He didn't need loud performances or flashy dialogue. Sometimes a single look from him told an entire story. And still, Udo Kier was only getting started. But beyond the films, beyond the cult roles and villainous stares, Udo Kier became something even rarer in Hollywood, a true icon. He was openly gay at a time when the industry still whispered, still hid, still judged. And yet, he was adored by everyone. Straight audiences, queer audiences, men, women, it didn't matter. People weren't drawn to Udo because of labels. They were drawn to his presence. He had that impossible quality only a handful of stars ever achieve. He looked mesmerizing at 30, and somehow just as mesmerizing at 80. The sharp bone structure, the porcelain skin, the ice blue eyes that felt like they could see right through you. None of it faded. If anything, age made him more intriguing. It's why fans online used to joke about him being a real-life vampire. He barely aged. He was mysterious. He played Dracula so convincingly that some people half-seriously wondered if he had simply stayed in character for the rest of his life. His elegance, his poise, the way he could command a room without raising his voice, it all fed into the myth. And myths, as the world is now realizing, don't vanish easily. If there was ever a film that captured the soul of Udo Kier, it was his 2021 gem Swan Song. On the surface, it was a comedic drama about an aging performer pulled back into the world he once dominated. But beneath that, it was something far deeper, a meditation on survival, loss, and the quiet strength of those who lived through eras that took so many others. The film became an unexpected tribute to the generation devastated by AIDS, honoring the people who didn't make it, and the survivors who carried their memories forward. Watching Udo in that role felt almost prophetic. He moved with a grace that came from decades of pain and triumph. His smile held both humor and heartbreak, and every scene reminded viewers why he stood apart from everyone else in Hollywood. He wasn't just acting, he was living the emotions, honoring real people, giving voice to stories that mattered. That's what made him unforgettable. Udo Kier embodied resilience. He embodied beauty that didn't fade, and he embodied a kind of artistic rebellion that refuses to disappear. Even now, in the end, Udo Kier's story reminds us of something Hollywood often forgets. Legends aren't made by studios, they're made by time. And time never defeated Udo Kier. Not when he survived the rubble as a newborn. Not when he reinvented monsters. Not when he crossed genres, broke boundaries, and outshined actors half his age. His presence was eternal, long before the world realized it. Now, as fans revisit his films, and directors share their memories, one thing becomes clear: Udo didn't just act. He left pieces of himself scattered across decades of cinema, waiting for new generations to discover. Tell me in the comments. What was your favorite Udo Kier performance? Flesh for Frankenstein, Blade Swan Song, or one of the hundreds of hidden gems only true fans know about? And if you want more deep dives into the lives of Hollywood's most fascinating stars, make sure to subscribe. There are stories you don't want to miss, and I'll bring them to you.